Hey guys, a warm welcome to the Project Ed series. Today is a special occasion. You know why? Yes, it's PMIPCC's 25 years of celebration, and this is how we are meeting here for the Project Ed series. And I'm honored to be here sharing space with the esteemed dignitaries from the industry who have shared their valuable thoughts through this series. And I'm glad I'm interacting with you all. My name is Krishna, and today let's dive into the topic of the metrics part, right? We have seen quite a while on what metrics are and why they really matter and why do we even track it, right? So let's dive into it. What exactly is a metric and why do we even measure it? And how do you actually find out what kind of a metric is actually adding value in accelerating and also in decelerating of the process. Now, the problem. So, what exactly is the problem over here? So, all the while we have seen we have more data than ever, and we barely can make any kind of logical conclusions out of it, right? So we seldom have a clarity on what does a certain metric define, what does even velocity even define, right? So over here, what I would like to bring your attention is to the extreme left-hand side where you see the PMI Pulse publication report where it says a whopping 72% of the status reports that are being published by the PMs are unreliable by the leadership team. So that's quite alarming, right? So 72%. So what is the rest 28? Let's check that going forward. Next up is where PMs typically, when they showcase the project status dashboard and review dashboard and so on, the Gartner PMO survey revealed an interesting insight that said a mean of close to 28 metrics are being tracked in all the status dashboards that are being seen, and that is quite enormous, right? And of which they could see only probably one-fifth of those actual KPIs are actually helping in decision making. So the mean says 28 and it's just one-fifth. So definitely there is a huge void in here that needs to be filled. And last is where the McKinsey digital publication that says 1 in 3 PMs actually spend more time in bringing the numbers and plugging onto the dashboard and then presenting to the meetings rather than actual value creation and value delivery. So this is the problem that I want to unpack over here on why we are even meeting in this session as a part of metrics that truly matter, right? Now let's delve further. Next up is the part of the divide, right? So what I'm just putting out here is basically it's the green versus red. It's basically the anecdote that goes the grass is always greener on the other side, but invariably over here it's completely different. On the left, the PMs are reporting the set KPIs which are in green, which is true, the tasks in time and the risks that are logged, the impediments that they have identified, the team's utilization, and so on. But on the right side, which you have seen the other side of the grass, it's not green, it's red. I mean, when the customers are actually looking at what is the business value that I'm getting out of this, I'm afraid no. And then how many decisions are I'm able to make from this particular objective with this KPI? I have no clue. And also how many features that are shipped from the project teams, and then what is the customer value delivered from those features shipped. I have no clue. So this is where I want to bring your attention to the divide part, wherein you could actually see there's this missing jigsaw puzzle in there. On one side, you see the grass is greener, the KPIs are in green, but on the other side, you see it's not green anymore. It is actually the other. It's the red. So there's this missing piece. Now let's see what is this missing piece going forward. And there's this interesting story that I will be telling up next is where I brought my own personal story to the session, wherein how I found out one KPI that I felt was missing, and then when I plugged it back into my routine, how could I actually start seeing the value adds in my own life? We will see it forward. Now, the way I call this as is the metric maturity model, right? I mean, when you actually look at it, these are the four different, we can call it as the four pillars of the metrics. And the way I am putting across this is like a compass for every one of us. Even I need this guiding thing where I actually understand what are the different pillars are, and then what kind of metric that goes into each pillar, and then how do you actually keep a track of it. And the way I'm seeing this is I've just put it on a scale of low impact to high impact, where on the extreme right hand side, you see the predictive metrics and leading metrics moving closer to the high impact, whilst the diagnostic metrics and then the vanity metrics are slightly on towards the left hand side of the quadrant. So this is pretty important. Okay. All the while, it's not just PMs, every one of us are predominantly trying to calculate a set metrics, which is, let's say, how many tasks are planned and how many are delivered, and then how many meetings are held, what was the outcomes, and what are the impediments, did we handshake with the dependencies, and so on. And then somehow, as we saw in the earlier slide, wherein the divide slide, where you saw that the grass isn't green on the other side. The right hand side story is something else, right? So this is where I want to establish the maturity model for the metrics. So this is like a compass where you can take this to your Monday morning and see the list of all KPIs that you already have, and see plugging in which category of the metric will fall into those pillars from your dashboard, right? So all the while, we have seen the vanity metrics part. I'm going from left to right. So vanity metrics part is something that is shallow, which is not really literally translating to the end customer's value. So all the while we keep talking about the value, right? What exactly is value? The way I define value is it is benefits over cost, right? So what are the true benefits that the customer is getting out of this particular feature or the particular project that you have shipped, or this particular program, right? So this is the value quantifiable. That is the part that I was trying to drive. And for that is where you need a guiding compass with which you can establish this, which is the metric maturity model, right? And over here, you see the diagnostic metrics and leading metrics and predictive metrics. So this activity wherein you pull up your project KPI dashboard, and then you start pulling metrics, and then you start adding in each of the respective pillars, and then you actually see where exactly is the number higher, right? This is an exercise that you all can do, and actually see how many of the KPIs that you have actually listed in 3 and 4. You will actually know where exactly on the maturity curve that you are. Are you on the extreme right hand side, or are you at the center, or you are towards the extreme left? So let me further double click on this particular slide. So, so over here, the diagnostics metrics part actually says why something has actually happened, right? It is akin to your blood markers report that we all get through from the diagnostic center, right? So you try to diagnose if the said markers are in line or slightly above threshold or below the threshold. So this is where it says what exactly is happening and then what are the next steps that you have to take to curtail or to balance it. So in project realm context, this diagnostic metrics is a stepping stone for the leading metrics part. And also, the way I'm seeing this entire strategic pillar is what I call is basically every metric I want it to be an input to the other metric as well. So every output from the pillar should flow in into the other pillars metric as an input, and then on top of it, it has to be refined and then it'll go forward. This is how I am saying this. Couple of things in diagnostic metrics that we all can list upon as something samples is basically the variance of the budget, right? And also were you able to schedule things on time, and then if there's any slippages in the process, and then defects count and so on. So these are some of the metrics that you can put it in the diagnostic metrics pillar. Next up is where you have the leading metrics part. So this is where it actually tells you where your project slash program is heading. So these are the metrics that will actually predict what is happening next, right? These are those, we can call this as the warning signals, which will actually tell you what exactly is happening so that you go back and then you try to plug in the missing piece and then you fix this and then you put it back and then it starts running. So some of the leading metrics is where I'm just putting in this basically the decision velocity. How soon are you able to take a decision and then move forward, and then the forecast drift and also the velocity of the team, etc. So leading metrics is actually a guiding compass to your predictive metrics. So once you get your diagnostic metrics in place, and then off that you start identifying what metric should I plug in or should I refine further, where that will go to the leading metric. And then on top of it is where the extreme right hand side, the predictive metrics part pillar comes in, which is essentially it's more of a proactive step and a course correction measure even before something comes and hits, or even before you hit the wall, right? So this is basically where you kind of have those different trends reports and then the forecast reports, etc., which actually back calculates to your leading metrics and says, hey, the run rate that you have predicted and forecasted in the current sprint is actually falling short, and probably you will have to tweak a bit of your utilization to be able to meet it, or slightly refine the scope for the MVP part and then start delivering value on that front, right? So Pareto metrics actually helps you to capture the the trends that is happening at the end customer, and most importantly, it will keep you on the guardrails and say when you have to accelerate and when you have to decelerate, and then when you have to keep maintaining that motion. So this entire four broad pillars will actually lay out a quick framework for anyone to get started from the pile of N KPIs that they already have in their project dashboards and program dashboards, status dashboards that they already have, and then try to map it to each of the pillars over here and see where exactly you fall into the maturity curve. So this is where things start getting really interesting, and then we actually know whether we are calculating the vanity metrics part, or are we really moving in the diagnostics part and the leading part and subsequent predictive metrics part. And so I want this slide to settle down with every one of you, because on top of this maturity model is where we start building on things. Now, moving on is where this is where things get pretty interesting. Okay, so this is a personal story of mine, which I've just plugged it in here. So I'll take a step back and then let's discuss. I'm no medical practitioner, so I've entirely done this exercise with a medical practitioner and a nutritionist under guided supervision. So I just brought this up over here to make you understand, and all of us understand, and what is that key metric that is dormant and being overlooked often, and which we are not able to understand, let alone comprehend. And then how does spotting that one metric in all our projects, even in our personal life, is matters. So this is where I'm delving into my story. So it's about an year back. I know most of us are fitness enthusiasts, and then there were times wherein we tried a couple of diets and we fell off. There were a lot of workout plans we did, and then we fell off, and so on. But there was a point in time where I was working with a nutritionist and a medical practitioner, and then wherein I was diligently tracking my footsteps, my intake, and my workout plan, and so on. And then I used to use my Whoop as my primary fitness tracker, and now I'm using a Garmin. So I used to track all the data, and then every bi-weekly I used to sit with my nutritionist, and then once in a month I used to have a call with my doctor saying that this is the progress and this is what I am doing, and this is my food and this is my workout and this is how I'm feeling physiologically, and so on. And then every time when I sleep, so usual my sleep time is around 11:30 p.m. IST, and then I wake up around 6:30 a.m. IST, 7 a.m. IST max. So when I was following the plan and all, every time I used to sleep and wake up, and I used to feel low on energy. I didn't really knew if I was falling off the required calorie deficit as per my nutritionist, or whether my energy levels are going down because of my rigorous diet and exercise and so on. So, and this is where my doctor said, why don't you pull this metric HRV, the heart rate variability, and then plug in that. And then the second thing that he said to me is, why don't you move your eating window of your dinner from 9 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. or 8 p.m., and then you leave a 3 hour buffer window until you sleep at 11 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. And then he said you track this HRV and you move this eating window, and then you report back me after a month. And when I did it, so before I go there, so HRV is basically heart rate variability. It's basically the number of the time, it acts like, it is just like a metronome of your music, wherein it doesn't go with the same rhythm. It is basically the time between the one beat of the heart to the other beat. So the lesser it is, the more stressed you are. So the more it is, so you are actually recovering pretty well. So this actually tells how much your body is well adapted and how well it is rested. So when I when I moved the eating window from 9 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. to 7:38 p.m., and then I tracked my HRV, and then after 20-25 days, when I sat with my doctor and with my nutritionist, I could see, you could see this number, right? You could see this number actually move from 38 to 76, uh, to up to 76 and 67 range. And then I could see I am recovering pretty well, and then I am able to uh, perform well, not just in my training, but also at my work as well, where I was energetic. And you could see when I targeted this metric, that is when I saw a spike in my recovery percentage as well, which is I could see a steep increase of close to 48 to 50% of increase. And then even my sleep also improved. So I was trying to push from 6.5 hours to past 7 hours. So this is that key jigsaw puzzle that I was talking about right from the start. So the HRV metric. So try to spot that HRV of your project as well, which will actually help you move that needle that you have been trying to do. When I say move the needle, it is the value that you are being created to the customer. So this is my personal story on how when I moved my eating window by 1.5 hours, and how my recovery actually spiked by 45 to 50%, and then how my HRV drastically improved by 50% odd. So this is the signal in the noise. So we need to find that signal. So I know this is where my slide first started. You have you have piles of data, but you don't know what to track and what even to look at. So identify the HRV of the product and see your project readiness and the value readiness of your project. The butterfly effect. So I've put this slide intentionally is because I just want to draw an anecdote where the butterfly effect, right, a situation in one place has created a massive after effects in other places. So what is that one metric that you really want to move, right? And what exactly this goes back to the anecdote of what I was saying, right? The grass is greener on the other side. So on the onset, the onset of PMs where they see certain metrics, which is the decision velocity, this feature shift, the release dates, and the sprints close down time, and so on, and how it is translated to on the C-suite leadership and how they are saying this, right? So as you can see, so when it actually translates to for a C-suite leadership, it always translates to can I tap into some unforeseen revenue opportunities? With this particular programs, with this particular features that I've shipped, was I able to retain the customer so that I don't have to pump in additional money, which is nothing but the customer acquisition cost to acquire them back? So did my onboarding rate improve, and did my EBITDA margins improve, and eventually did it result in a top line increase, which is nothing but your revenue, right? And this is the butterfly effect. This is basically when a PM says we have decision velocities less than 24 hours, but how a C-suite leadership are saying the same thing. What is the translation on their end? So the way I would urge every one of us to look at is see the translation part, how the C-suite leadership and how the end customers are seeing the KPI that you are putting in. So be that translation, not the language. Be the translation so that you actually translate what exactly they are looking for, what they actually wanted from this. So that is why the slide is pretty important. So as a PM, I know process metric, I'm not denying it, but the way the C-suite looks at is the EBITDA margins, the untapped revenues, the new opportunities. Uh, is there any threats that I could see, and so on. So try to get this puzzle clearly and get that translation right when you actually coin a KPI, so that you save time in translating the same thing, not just to the leadership but also to the end customer. So this is where I would call this as a butterfly effect. So it is the same decision but perceived by two different people in a different way. So, and it completely alters. So the translation has to be precise and try to understand what is the value add, the benefits that I'm giving back, right? I keep reiterating the benefits. What is the benefits that are the customers are being able to derive from this particular feature? So this is the key. Now, well, we have seen the maturity model, you have seen my personal story, and then you have seen the divide and so on. Now, how do you build one? How do you build your signal in the noise, right? So these are some quick things that I've just put in here, which actually uh, can help you get started. So presume these are the four pillars that you look at, spanning across delivery, value, team health, and stakeholder. And across each pillar, try to put the KPIs that actually matters to that particular pillar. So delivery is completely PM centric. So try to get KPIs that actually talk what delivery is. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it just going on pace, or are we just getting there and so on, right? So, and then the value. So it's not always the feature shipped, it's the features adopted from the end customer. So this is where, when I go back to the previous slide, you have seen the translates to. So try to get that translates to, and then actually see, if I'm building a said feature and shipping it, so treat that as a features adopted, and the way you understand and you do the value delivery keeps changing a lot. So this is where you ask the question, did we ship the right thing? Or how does customers feel when they use this particular feature? So this is the value part that I keep reiterating. The third is the team health, which is nothing but, uh, to get started, I've just put it as, how is the quality coming up? I know when your decision velocity, you have said it's 24 hours and 48 hours, and what is the time that is being, uh, is it really meeting the quality standards, right? So rework rate is as a metric that I've just put, because a lot of while we have seen, yeah, we have shipped 10 features in the last 5 months, and then you on the other side you keep getting incidents your way. So that's not how it works, right? So your rework rate is high. So this is where team health as a pillar and a KPI to track matters a lot. And lastly, stakeholder, the end customer, right? So what is the value adds? What is the value delivery for them through us? And also, again, going back to the maturity model that I was talking about, the predictive metrics, are they able to predict uh, their uh, their business, and how are they perceiving this entire particular feature shipment that we're doing? So this is the signal stack that I want to leave everyone with, where you can go back on a Monday and then start with new set of KPIs or existing set of KPIs, to see from the list of KPIs that you've already built, try to plug those into each of the pillars and see if it is just coming up into the entire shape and form. And this is a sample that I want to leave with every one of you, where you build a stack which actually gives you signal from the noise, and this is across the four domains. Now, how do I even, okay, this is all great. How do I even audit it if a certain KPI has passed and all? Do I have a checklist where, like, you, when you visit a store and then you have a list of groceries that you have to pick, you say, yeah, I've got my muesli, I've got my honey, I've got my yogurt, and so on. So likewise, how do you even audit if a certain metric can go and sit in the KPI dashboard, right? So this is where I give the 5 point checklist. I mean, this is not hard and fast, but I generally follow a 5.5 and the 5 point scale. If I see that if I don't tick at least three of these, then obviously it doesn't make sense for you to put, and also let alone sit on the dashboard. So this is the quick metrics audit that I've just put, which is basically a certain KPI will drive a specific direction, which goes back to the diagnostic, to the leading, to the predictive metrics part. And then from predictive metrics part, the value delivery is nothing but, has this metric changed? Did we make any dent in the process? Were we able to acquire new customers? And then when a stakeholder looks at a KPI, can they comprehend it, or do you have to sit through and explain? And also, is it a lagging indicator or a lagging report? Meaning, do you have to explain it? And then also, there is no on the right hand side, you don't see any story that is tying to this particular KPI. Then it doesn't need to be there on the dashboard. And also, lastly, okay, if you have missed it, then obviously you know the answer. It doesn't have to be in there, right? If it is clearly not value added. So just go back to your KPI dashboard and see, do a quick audit check and see if it passes through at least three of the list of five that you see. And if not, then discard it, and then you can take it forward from there. So this is a quick audit check that I'm just leaving it here. So if I ask you, what is it one HRV of the project that you would like to change? Yeah, the heart rate variability of the project that you would like to change. So I would like to leave a thought here for both the practitioners in the realm, for both PMs and leaders. So for PMs, what this is a quick activity, which of course I'll follow from all of you, is open your dashboard and see what KPIs are actually adding value, and then see if you're able to plug into the metric maturity model, and then if not, just try discarding it, and then uh, get going. And then for leaders, I know, uh, spot that one metric in the predictive pillar and see if it is truly translating into the value add and delivery from the customer side. And finally, measure less, mean more. That's what I say. Mean more, as in meaning more. So measure less, meaning more. So I always say, keep things as simple as possible. And the best project has the least measurable KPIs, and definitely have those HRVs that actually move the needle of the project and for you. Finally, I would like to thank every one of you who are present over here for being invaluable guests for this session. And I thank PMIPCC for giving me this opportunity on their 25 years of celebration. Thank you.